For those of you who want to get into building with AI, this right here, this platform is going to be one of the most critical platforms that you are going to want to understand how it works and how it functions. It is called GitHub, right? The easiest way I can explain GitHub is it is like the Google Docs for your code. When you're writing code, you have to store your code somewhere. You can store your code on the internet, and this is the way to be able to do it. It's like Google Docs so that you can manage and keep track of all the different variations, all the different updates, to have a place that can track and store your updates when you make changes. GitHub is going to be the place to be able to do that. Repositories, so the storage spaces where your code and files go are called repositories. And in the other video, we talked about where do we put our code first? And so you're maybe thinking like, man, Hoff, you just told me that my code. You may be saying, Hoff, man, for what does VS Code and Cursor and Windsurf, how do all of these fit into it, right? And so VS Code is what you write your code into, right? This is where you write the code. GitHub is where you're going to store your code. And so we're going to go and I'm going to show you what I mean by this, right? We're going to go to GitHub. And again, we talked about repositories, right? Here's repositories. You can see what this looks like. When you click on a repository, you'll be able to click inside one of them and you'll see this is where all of the code files are at. You'll see how this looks very similar to your VS Code. These are all your files that exist in your VS Code. These are all the files that go inside of your GitHub. Beautiful thing about GitHub is that you can go see other examples of how code is being written. You can go see other examples of how to build things, how other people are building things. This is what contributes to a term called open source. Open source means that I can see what the code is that is building or driving the creation of something that's being built on the internet, some kind of software. And so you can download this button right here. Don't worry about HTTPS, GitHub CLI and all this stuff. Don't worry about any of that right now, because you can download. If you download a code base, you hit download a zip file. We're going to put this right in our downloads. That should be very familiar. And then when you go into your VS Code, right? When you go into your VS Code, you should have VS Code downloaded onto your computer now. When you go into open, and that's going to open all of the code inside of your VS Code. But now, because we have an AI assistant, right? You can ask Claude to explain to you what is happening inside of the code base. Like, Claude is going to be your teacher. And so you can ask Claude, can you explain to me how this code base works? Or you can use repositories since you just learned the language. And then Claude is of course going to be able to explain to you how the code base works. And so this can be your foundation if you're working on an app, if you're working on something and you go on GitHub and you can search different types of applications, different types of configurations, different types of code bases that can help you build the kind of automations and build the kind of tools that you want to build. And so I hope this is really helpful for you to be able to understand how GitHub works and how you can start to use GitHub to learn more about software development. Let me know if you have any questions within the comments. I'm also working on a circle group. For those of you who have expressed interest on courses and trainings and something outside of TikTok. And so be on the lookout for that. If you go to the link in the bio, there's a way to be able to provide your email so I can update you for when the circle group is open and available. So then you can have chat, you can have implementation support, you can share your projects, there'll be courses, there'll be a whole community of AI enthusiasts and learners. And so be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, let me know if you have any questions or if you're curious about any other topics that we should cover. Peace, y'all.